Hello, this is Sandy, and I'm back at the Babylock Solaris 3, working on video 2 of my machine-guided edge-to-edge quilting project that I'm working on. And I have another video before this that talks about the setup. But now we're ready to quilt or start lining things up in the upper left-hand corner. And so that's what this video is about. And if you missed that first one, I'll try and remember to put a link to it somewhere in here. But this is the second video, and so on the screen you will see that we are going to begin sewing eventually from the upper left corner of the fabric. So we have to attach the embroidery frame in the initial position in order to start that, which I've already done. Next, I'll press OK. Then it's telling us use the move pattern keys to align the upper left corner of the pattern area with the upper left corner marking of the area to be embroidered. So my upper left marking is the fabric itself, because in the book they show that you can make markings around the whole thing, but mine's pretty squared up, so I just use the fabric. So right now we're going to just align the upper left hand corner and make sure that I don't have it too far over the edge or too far over to the left. And the screen just is giving us that instruction. So we'll press OK. And this carriage moves. And when it does that, it brings us to the next screen where it will give us the option to move the frame slightly in any of these directions, to actually move it so that it will have a new starting point. Because right now the starting point is way over there. And if you look on the screen and compare that to the fabric, it's way outside the fabric. So we have to make some adjustments, and that's what we're going to do. So that I've got my fabric rolled up on the right, and then down below I have it stuck into a drawer below my table, so I don't have the weight pulling on the frame. And so that's part of this first initial setup too. But you can't get to this point until you actually get the fabric in the hoop and the hoop frame into the machine. So we know about these keys. These keys are the ones that I'll use to actually push the frame way over to the middle or the right side or the middle or the bottom, the middle of the bottom, in the middle. Let's see, the bottom left corner, middle of the frame on the left, and then the upper left corner. So this moves the frame all around. So you can check to see if you like where you've moved the frame for your new starting point. So I'm going to go ahead and camera there so you can see better. And let's see. I'm going to move it over to the right. And I don't know if you can see the plus is right there. So I'm going to bring it inside a little more, because when you do your border, it's okay if it's, inside that corner. It's going to get wrapped around. The border is going to get wrapped around, and then move it down. So I think I like this as my starting point. And now I can just use these other keys on the bottom to check, how does that look? Am I still under the line? Yes. Yeah, same here. It's kind of going up in the corner, so it must be angling up, but I can't change the angle here. So then I'll just go back to the left-hand corner. And I'm going to just double check that I have it over far enough going down as well. And I'm inside, and like I said, when I change the angles, the frame design will actually, if I push that side down, it'll push it into here. So I'm not going to make any changes more to this. I'm going to go ahead and press OK. So it leads me to the next screen, which I'll show you. Use the rotate keys to adjust, 1 minute, to adjust the angle of the pattern while keeping an eye on the points around the pattern. So it's saying I can use the rotate keys on the next screen to adjust the angle, but I keep my eyes on the pattern because you want to make sure that you adjust the angle correctly. So you press OK. On this screen is where you can change the angles. So this is if I was going to want to push it up 10% or down 10%, up 1% or down 1%, up 0.1% or down 0.1%. These buttons we probably won't use until we get to the far right or in the second row, but it allows you to shrink, to squeeze the pattern, make it narrower if you're trying to fit into a narrower space, or make it wider if you need to elongate it to make it get to the edge. And then same, push it down here if you make it longer, like near the bottom, or push it up. Like I possibly could use this at the top if I needed to, but I don't think I need to. So I'm going to press the angle buttons while I'm watching this area over here. And let's see here. It's way up over here, so I'm going to press 1%, and it jumped all the way down to there. Press it again. So I have to remember that's pushing the angle down. So it looks okay still here. Still on the fabric there. I might have pushed it a little bit too much. So now I'm going to push it up. See how it moved over? I'm going to move you in so you can. I'm using the 1% angle, and I pushed it up. But before I got here, it was way over here because I had pushed the 1% over in that corner up at the top twice. So it took the design and it shifted it left. And so that was way too much. So I'm going to shift it back. And now I can see it's in a better position. So I'll just check the double side, double check the side. And I like how that's looking. Now I'm going to go to the middle. That's still on board. And I think everything looks good. So now I can press OK on the screen. And it will take me to where it's going to start to stitch out the pattern. And the screen doesn't really look that different over here. It's just showing me the pattern, and it's like the regular embroidery screen. And that's what it's going to stitch out over here. Okay, so I'm going to stitch that one out. I'm probably going to leave you somewhat zoomed out in case I have to get in there. I've got it all threaded, and we'll see what happens. And it should not go off to the edge because on this, well, I should tell you that for the first one, I have it going kind of slow because I'm watching the stitching. I'm watching to see if it skips, make sure I've got the right thread, the right tension, to make sure I'm not going off over the edge. So after I do the first one, I can speed it up. But right now, I think it's at 350 stitches per minute. And so I'm going to move you in so you can see the pretty pattern that's it's stitching out. And as soon as I get past this left side, I can probably speed it up. Sometimes I do that, get in there and smooth it out. I gotta watch how I touch my phone because, I could be shutting you off by mistake. Yeah, I think I am gonna be fine because I'm gonna go up to 500 stitches per minute because it already went to the farthest left point of the design. So, and we'll get it going again. So I just changed it to 500. Once I get more confident about how I see it stitching out. I can go faster. Yeah, I was afraid it was going to go, but we're good. I was looking on the screen and I thought, oh my gosh, did I measure that? But it's fine. I never reset the embroidery foot height from yesterday. I did raise it a little bit. Because I was working on some machine embroidery. And I'm glad I did, because one thing I noticed with the batting and the backing is that, you know, you do need your embroidery foot height a little bit higher. So I left it there. Still have some threads to cut, it looks like, off my front piece. I am close, but it's not going over the edge, and that's just perfect because the binding is going to cover that anyway. I don't have to go right. I could have even come inside more. It looks like this takes a total of 5 minutes to stitch out. And we're at minute 2. I do like the color of the thread so far. When it's right now, it's showing up the design. When it gets closer to the end, it will stitch somewhere over there, and it will leave. It's just like a line of stitching, and that's where we will know each time we have to line it up, and it'll give us instructions on how to line that up. It's really good for a newbie like me who needs those machine guided instructions. Yeah, so when I was running, using those keys to advance the frame down the side and across the top, I was checking to make sure that this design itself didn't go over the edge. And then hopefully I will remember what I learned from the last time I did this. But I've only done, this is my second quilt. And it really, if you don't use it, it's really true that you lose it if you don't use it. We're at minute 5, so it's almost done. This is where it leaves you off. I believe that's the ending part. Yes, that's the ending part. And then it does this little stitch down here so that when we line up the next row, we have that mark. Oh, the thread broke. That's really strange. That's so weird. Usually don't have trouble with this thread breaking. So I'll have to back it up a little bit. I'm assuming everyone knows how to use those plus minus buttons on their machine, but I'm so afraid I'm gonna turn this phone off when I move it. So here's the plus minus button, and I'm just gonna go back. Okay, went back too far, moved the whole frame. It did finish okay there, so I can just, moves a little slower, these buttons, when you've got this hooked up. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and say okay, and then have you go back over there, press okay, because I don't even need it to really stitch there, but it's going to tie off, and then it's going to make that little mark, and it's still threaded, so that's good. I'm not sure what happened there. So it makes a mark there, and then in the next frame it'll make a mark over there, and then when we get to that next row down, we can use those marks to line up the second row. So just to refresh, this is where it ended up. I could put a little sticker there just for, so it's easy for my eyes to see, just because now it's asking us a question over on the right. I'm going to back up. It is asking us, it's telling us the embroidery is finished, okay to connect the next pattern, and I'll say okay. And it says, please wait a while, then we start over. Please rehoop the fabric to the right side. So we're going to pull the fabric to the left to rehoop this fabric on the right, while including the right edge of the pattern on the left in the hoop. So I think it's easier said. We're moving the fabric to the left so that we can pull this new fabric through and do our next in the hoop stitching. So this is guided instruction. If I press OK, what I think it will do, it will move over to this button, to this mark here, that will help me see where I'm supposed to line it up. Let's just see. And now it's saying with the move pattern keys to align the start point with the end point of the previous pattern. So it's giving us instructions. That last screen is an instruction. This really, I should have pulled through the fabric. And what I found when I did edge-to-edge stitching last time was with this hoop, it's not easy to pull the fabric through when you've got it, when the machine has moved over to the next position to start the next hoop of stitching, if that makes sense. There's a magnetic hoop by Babylock, and that hoop doesn't need much room for you to maneuver the fabric to pull it across. In fact, they have like magnetic little pieces that there's a large one, a small one on each side, a large one, a small one on the top and bottom. So usually when you pull the fabric through, you're taking off the side ones and probably one of the top and bottom, and you can slide it across. So now you could pull it through easier if you advance the to the next screen. The next screen, the key, what I'm trying to explain is, once I hit OK on this screen, it's going to move the machine over as if I've already pulled the fabric through, and it's trying to help me, know where to start on the next frame. And because I have a large dime magnetic hoop, that shortcut doesn't work as well with this large hoop, because with this large hoop, we actually need more room to move it around, because we'll take this hoop and move it over the top. With the Babylock, you end up having like 2 pieces here, 2 pieces there, and 2 at the top and the bottom. You take off the two sides, you leave one small piece at the top and the bottom, and you could advance to that next position, which actually helps you to get the fabric through a little easier. And you could just slide it through because it's way over here when it moves there. And then you can slide it through. You don't have to move the Babylock frame. Whereas this one, you have to lift this thing over the top and slide it through. So while I have, you know, that I thought it was like a really super duper tip that helps a person line up this mark with where this foot's going to move, because it hasn't moved yet, because I have the larger hoop. I'm not using that tip. Because you'll see, if I do it right this first time, you'll see that because I'm kind of trying to line it up where I think it's supposed to go, I still might be off. And I might have to take it over the top and do it again. But, okay, so I've moved the fabric through like it told me through. And I was trying to explain to you the tip. But it's more so one that can be used with the Babylock magnetic hoop. So now I'm going to press the OK button. And you'll see how far it moved. Now this is where it thinks I ended up. But if I did a good job of rehooping, I should be there, but I'm supposed to be way over there. And I can already tell on my screen that to get over there, the machine will not give me, these buttons only let you move so far. It's not going to let me move that far. So that's the benefit to actually using the Babylock hoop and being able to pull it through. Let me back up. If you remember, this is really important. That's why I'm spending time on it. Before I pushed that button, the foot was over here. And I had lots of room to move this hoop over the top. And you need that room. Because watch, because I did not move the fabric through enough, I have to take this over the top again and get the sides off. I guess I could just do this and pull it more. And then see if I've done a better job rehooping that time. And the other thing I forgot to mention was after you rehoop, actually, because I didn't really go over this yet, when I rehoop, I always make sure I squeeze in at the top and the bottom and the sides. Squeeze to make sure that you've, at the very top, that you have made sure that you've lined up the edges of your hoop. And then straighten it out. If you think you're close, take your safety pins out. If I've done a better job of hooping this time, maybe that worked. But I can tell I'm angled. I can definitely tell I'm angled by what I see. And so you just keep working with the fabric. Hopefully I'm not making you seasick. And then you got to make sure you take out all your baby safety pins. This is a very big hoop, so I'm like bending over and let's see how this looks. Okay, so I should have been over here. That's not too bad. So let's see. I'm going to take the snowman off. And I think that I'll be able to move up. I'm going to move you in. And so there's the cross. And here's the end of the stitching. And our goal is to line it up with the end of that stitching. So I moved it up. Now I'm moving it over. And you see that red. And I think that looks good. And if I get it just right, the two threads will connect together and it will look really good. So let's see how that looks. So just to summarize, when you're going through those screens, it's easier with a Babylock magnetic hoop that has there's 8 pieces around the square of the hoop to take off all but the top and bottom. You can easily slide the fabric through, and because of that fact, you can advance past that last screen, which moves the foot from here to here. Whereas if you have a large magnetic hoop dime like this one, you might want to wait. You might want to do it where you just try and you can do it initially by moving it. You have lots of room to move it over the top of the machine when the foot's way over here. You've got more room over here on the left. But once it advances here and you have to keep maneuvering it, it's harder to move this large hoop up and over the arm of the embroidery unit. So that's what I was trying to say. We'll probably have to go over that again, but wanted to share that with you. So I think we are okay as far as this goes. We've lined it up, and I think I'm good. I could use those buttons to make sure I still like how it looks up here. I'm just kind of keeping my eyeball to make sure it doesn't cross over on the stitching, and I'll go across the top. I'm just checking to see about how much I'm off. And it looks like it's down. Yeah, you can do that too. Okay, here we go. We're still okay here. So I think we're good. And now this is where this button here comes into play. Backing you up, and I'm sorry if I made you seasick. This button here will take us to the last stitch that we lined up. We ended up here, and we just lined it up to that stitch there, because the ending stitch here will line up with the first stitch of the new frame that's going to stitch out. So I'm going to press that button. It should line up right there. So that's where we are. Cool. All right, now I'm just making sure I'm snug. Did my pinching. Okay. And now I can press OK. Because the next one is checking. Move this over. Use the rotate keys to adjust the angle of the pattern while keeping an eye on the points around the pattern. So you want to make sure that the points aren't like when you change the angle, you're not swinging the point and like pushing it over into this design. You don't want that to happen. So I will say, okay there. And this is where we will use the angles again. And I'm going to just check that now. I probably won't be using those. If I need to use them, it will be way at the far right. And then these help move the carriage around, so I can check to make sure everything's still in alignment. So I'm going to press those buttons now, and you will see what happens. So I can see I'm right here. Let's see if our angle is still good. Still okay. So I'm going to watch the left side and the bottom. So I think that if I go back up to this corner, and then go across to this corner, it's pretty straight. And this stitching goes up here. So it's way up to here. Still there. It's going up. So it's still up. So I'm going to push that down. Let's see how that looks. We're still good there. There's the cross, and we're below, so that's good. No, I don't like how that looked. Well, no, I guess that's okay. I guess that's okay. Sometimes when you're going from top to bottom, it looks like it's off, but it's not really off. Okay. So there's the cross there. It's still there. So it looks like it only took one adjustment. And I might actually use 0.1 to just move it slightly back up. Okay, we're good. I pressed OK. And now it should start stitching out. Let's see how close we came. All right, we hit the end point. That's excellent. I'll leave you zoomed out. I think you probably can see pretty good. And this video is going to 30 minutes. So I think after this, I am going to stop the video because, well, I could keep going one more frame, and those who want to continue to watch can watch. But it's the same process. It will tell us to re-hoop the fabric, and you move it to the left. So you're pulling the fabric through. If you have a baby lock, you probably can take all the pieces off except the small one on the top and the bottom, and then it slides through. If you have the magnetic dime, if it's larger like this, you may not want to advance the foot ahead so it ends up over here until you've actually pulled the fabric through. But with the baby lock, you can advance it so it gives you a better idea of where it's gonna meet up to that ending point, and you'll have a better idea of how far to pull the fabric through and in which direction. And so I could do one more stitch of the hoop, and then I can finish the other frames offline, because the next thing I probably could show you was when I get to the far right, how sometimes you have to make an adjustment to stretch it out or make it shorter, and so I could focus on just that. So after it's done stitching out, I will probably re-hoop it one more time to get it in my brain, and if anybody else is watching out there, to get it in your brain. And then the next video will be the far right corner, and it can be how I can show you if you want to shut down your machine because you just thought, I can't do any more of this tonight, I gotta shut it down. There's a couple steps you can take. You can save your work, write down where you left off, and I can show you how to pick up again if you want to shut down your machine. So I can share that with you too when I get through the next video, which would be that last one on the far right for this top row. This part of the fabric just looks wrinkly to me. And I know you're not supposed to do this, but I feel better doing it than having a little hiccup in this quilting. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. That's cool. I don't know if you saw that projector. It's really cool that it will show. And I'm going to go faster now. We'll see how 600 goes. That the projector will shine down the design before it sews, before it starts sewing, to give you an idea of where it's going to start. And you could always pause the video and come back if you don't want to watch this next frame. Who knows? Who knows how it will go? It should go pretty well. It seems like it's going well so far. And I got my little pointer what is it called again? That purple thing. Got it from my local sewing store, sewing center in Lake Villa. That's where I got my machine. That's where I get most of my supplies. So I'm going to spend a lot of time, probably it might seem like a lot of time to you, going over that whole Babylock versus dime hoop thing, because it's just something I figured out through trial and error. I do like using the dime hoop better because for a large quilt like this, because the Babylock hoop that I have is 10 by 10. Maybe the larger ones work better. I kind of wish I would have gotten a larger one, because I think for quilting it would be awesome to have that ability to, you know, just advance past the screen, advance the foot so that it moves over to here, and yeah. I'm going to mark where it left off. Now it's making that little stitch so that when we go to line up the second row, we will have visual marking. It's telling me embroidery is finished. Okay to connect to the next pattern, and I'm going to say okay. So now this is the part I was talking about. It's saying please rehoop the fabric to the right side while including the right edge of the pattern on the left in the hoop. And I think they're just trying to say move this fabric to the left, slide it through to the left, so this new fabric that needs to be quilted will come through into your frame. That to me is easier to understand. And what we want to do is try and move it across straight so that we're trying to line up this foot to the snowman over here. So if I had my Babylock hoop, I'd press OK. The foot would move over here. I'd slide it through. Since I don't have my Babylock hoop, I'm not going to press OK. I'm going to lift the hoop, because that way I have lots of room. And I'm going to try and keep my eye on this. See, anything can happen with this larger hoop. It's still worth using. At least anything happens with me. Now, I think I'm too high. I probably could have kept my eye on the bottom of the pattern, but I actually have my eye on how much I left the top. I had to allow a certain amount of space at the top to get it in the embroidery frame. So I kind of can keep my eye on that. Pulling the fabric, squeezing around the edges. It becomes a routine after you've done a couple of these. Now, I have not advanced the fabric. I'm just moving the fabric through. I'm just moving. I didn't say, I said I have not advanced the fabric, but I meant to say I have not advanced the frame or the foot to the next step, because there, I think I got it straight. I think I'm about right, but we will see. It's just telling us to rehoop, so I'm going to say okay. This is where we should be. Let me get the purple thing. This is where we should be. And now it's telling us to use the pattern keys to align the start point with the end point of the previous pattern, which that's what we were doing. Okay, so I moved it over too much this time, so I got to see if I can move this foot over to here. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it that much. Oh, I did. Okay. Just barely enough room. Let's see if I can get it to go up. Okay, I'm trying to line up that cross. And because I am just shy there, this is what I'm doing to get it to line up. There, now it's lined up. The cross is lined up with that last stitch of the previous frame. Hopefully I'm making sense. Sometimes I say some things that don't make sense. Okay, I see one more. I have to go to the other side to get the safety pin off because I see one from the bottom side that I forgot to take out. That's the other thing you got to make sure you do. There. Yeah, I probably should have used the spray glue, but it's working so far. So now I've aligned that, and I don't think I really need to check anything else on here. But I will check the top just to see if how it aligns over. It's okay there. Okay there. And it's okay there. Boy, are we lucky. Pressing okay. And now it's just telling me to use the rotate keys to adjust the angle of the pattern while keeping an eye on the points. So since you're adjusting the angle of the pattern, it could swing this way. You don't want your points of your pattern to swing too much into the last frame. You want to make sure you keep it level. So I'm going to use those buttons to make sure that nothing is swinging in the wrong direction. And I think just based on the check that I did, it's okay here. The leaf is there. Here's the middle. It's okay there. And it's okay there. So I think I'm good. So I'm going to press OK. And I'm going to press go. See how we lined up? Okay, we did it again. Looks like we have 2 more rows of stitching. And while that's stitching on, I'm going to look at the back. And the back is looking really good. Oh, we were close there. Stitched it down though, so we were good. I'm watching on the screen as it stitches out too. Let's see if I can foresee any issues. So if this goes well, maybe I'll do one more, because I could be wrong, but I think that last one I would save, because I can show you if I actually have to elongate it or shorten it to make it fit within the frame at the very far right hand side. And luckily I have enough room on the left side of my table that it's not dragging anywhere, because I know that can create problems for your stitching and for the machine. It's definitely going faster than the first quilt that I did edge to edge. And I will be working on some other quilts, so I'm sure I'm going to have more of this. I didn't know about anyone else out there, but repetition helps my brain when you don't use a certain feature as often as you'd like, or you might take 6 months before you go back to this. I mean, it might be a couple months before I go back to this because it'll take me time to do the next quilt. And by then I'll be like, okay, how did I do this again? But it came back to me faster this time, so every time I do it, I think I get a little more in my brain. It's almost done. I might keep going and just save that last square. We'll see. The last frame. And if you stick around, or if you want to fast forward to see if I do, I will show you the back of what it's done so far, the back of the quilt. Just to give an idea of what it looks like. It's just as pretty. Okay, so where did it leave off? It left off here. So that's my goal. Since I have the large diamond, I'm gonna whoop, I am not advancing the frame forward. It's asked me if I want to continue, and I'm gonna say yes because I'm gonna do one more hoop. And it's telling me to rehoop the fabric to the right side while including the right edge of the pattern on the left. You know, I'm pulling the fabric through. And since I have the dime, I'm raising this. Trying to keep my eye. And approximately the area where, keeping in mind that I left about 1.5 inches at the top. And I'm squeezing at the top. It might be need to go over more. We shall see. Here's the, take out the, and again, once I do this more, I can kind of pay attention more to where this foot actually goes too. I mean, that would help. Yeah, I think I have to move it over. Squeezing. Pulling the edges taut. There's another safety pin. So we'll see if this is right on or not. And I gotta pull this edge taut. But I'm also trying not to pull on the arm too much. All these things you're thinking of while you just do them and you forget that you're doing them. And I'll pull up on the fabric. Okay, so let's see now. Going back to the screen. And I'm going to press OK because we already know that's instruction. This is instruction. Move the pattern keys to align the start point with the end point. So it's just telling us about matching up this part. Press OK and it moves the foot over. So when it moves the foot over, we have to remember it's about 1 inch from the edge. So if I would have remembered to put the snowman about 1 inch from the edge, I probably would remember those things better if I wasn't trying to talk and film and all that stuff. So I'm going to move the top keys. Uh-oh. Look. I'm not far over enough. So I'm going to take this off now so I can better see how much more I have to pull this over. It's not that much. Okay, so pull it through a little bit more. I like to treat these sessions that I'm filming as lives, but like I can't really talk to people anyway now. So I just, if I were to do a live, I'd have to keep working through problems. I got it lined up. There's the cross. There's the end. The sides look good. I've pinched. Now I'm going to press OK. If I wanted to use these buttons on the right at the bottom, I could, but I don't think I need to. So now it's telling me to use the rotate keys in case I want to rotate the whole pattern, like tilt it. So I'm going to say OK. And let's see how bad we are. We're about that much down there. There. It's going up. So I think since it's angling down, I need to push that corner up. And you can see, let me get, this is a good thing that I kept filming because you can see better. Now I'm going to use the 1%, I think. Oh boy. It won't let me angle up because I guess I'm so far over. So in this case, I'm going to have to work around it. I'm going to have to pull down. You see that? Yes, you can see that. I'm pulling it down so that's... Then I'll have to pull the whole thing at the bottom to make sure it's taut. Okay, now let's do a check using those buttons. It looks good there. Oh, I could have used the angle buttons. I think that is good. So I'm going to press OK. And I should be good to go. So this is, I'm going to stitch out now. I'm going to angle it up. And I might have been a hair off. No, it's right on. Looked like it was off, but it's on. Four minutes stitch out on this. Also, I think I might have been saying something and I stopped about sometimes I like to watch videos about edge to edge to keep things fresh in my mind. So you might not be doing it, but you can actually exercise your mind before you get into your room and work on it and do a little refresher. I don't know, sometimes I just like to hear that background of music or people talking. So I might put on a video or music or a talk show or a movie. But if it's something that's really new to me, then I might just play the video and just have it available so I can listen to it if I get stuck. But, because if you do too much video watching, then you don't get enough work done. But there's, like, hey, maybe you can't go to sleep at night. You just want to, do a refresher. And then sometimes I would watch a video. Say if I wanted to work on something in the morning, forgot how something was done. I might do a refresher video. So, from the looks of this, from the looks of this, I'm wondering, I stopped the machine because I touched it. I think I have like 1.5. I think this is number 4. Well, that'll still be a good video. The next video I'm going to be shutting down this machine, or pretending that I am, and then restarting it as if I, started the next day, because sometimes people do quilting on quilts that are like king size or queen size giant quilts. Mine is not giant, but it's big enough where I might just want to do like one row, eat supper. What if there's a thunderstorm? You don't want to leave your machine on, but in 2 hours later, you know it's going to clear up. So this trick will be helpful to know, and it will be included in the shorter video because I'm just going to do that part showing you how to restart a program if you're in the middle of it, the guided process. If you don't restart this way, it won't guide you through the process. So if you don't need it, that's fine. But if you want the guided process, you have to restart the way I'm going to show you. So I'll show that. I'll show what's left of this, whether it's one or two hoopings, which is going to be like probably one more hooping and then one more at the end. And I may have to shrink it way down. Hopefully it does it right, because the last time I did a quilt, it was that purse fabric I was creating, and I was using the edge to edge feature on that, and I think I got to the far right and it didn't estimate the far right and it wouldn't let me shrink it, so I had to like stitch off and I had to use tape. But hopefully that will not happen. Yeah, so the next video will be shorter. This is only a 4-minute stitch out. We're at 4 minutes, and I'll show you the back of this. So far, I'm going to put the snowman on where I should match it up, but I'm not going to do more. I'm just going to show the back. There's a little mark to match up the next row for when we pull it through. Pull it down at that point, so we'll be getting different messages. Okay, so it's asking me if I want to continue, but I'm not going to do that in this video. It's already long enough. Here is the back. So it looks pretty good. It looks like, you know, sometimes you have to be careful that you don't just pull these. Sometimes when it's cutting threads, it'll do a little loop. This one is fine. It just needs to be clipped. So I'm going to leave all that. But the rest of it looks really good. So that's it for today. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you like what I'm doing, please subscribe, like, and watch. And make a comment. I probably should have said that in the beginning. But anyway, have a great day. Hope you enjoyed this.